Upside DIY. So I'm going to take apart this all-in-one workstation, try to actually um, unlock the hard drive, just because I can't. I want to get other parts and tests and parts situated first, and then save up and see what I could afford later on. Welcome Upside DIY. I wanted to show this. This stuff is much. Gotta be ready to tape or protect the wire coat or something like that with. Welcome Upside DIY. I wanted to show this pile of like Q-tip C2032 and stuff. And now I could kind of clean up this motherboard and then get ready for the thermal paste. Replace brush around the ports and the fan, and this is kind of before the thermal paste. So I gotta find kind of a situation to put this, and then kind of and I did use the method of just rubbing in some of the disinfectant peroxide, but the air compressor, and even around the RAM and stuff was getting into little small spots, and then I would pretty much, let things go downward, blow off everything downward, and then I would have to adjust where I was holding it. Alright, so I just set that there, and now I'm gonna just try to clean this. I'm gonna clean that. Alright, so I put everything back to normal to get the thermal paste spatula. Have a piece of paper to clean it off, and just kind of putting everything. So I use like some soft cloth, basically a beanie, and just to be more efficiently, sometimes the board isn't as flat, and things could bend if it's just on a leveled and harder surface. So try to balance out as much by adding some type of cushion underneath and a newspaper. But it came off. The screws stayed attached for the most part. Can really like clean up, I think, with newspaper or paper just around a little bit here and there. Just dab. Oh, I need to get rubbing alcohol, so kind of let you guys see it a little bit better. And basically, once cleaning off the thermal paste, especially well on the shield, but on the board itself, I'm probably going to spray it on a piece of paper. So I got some sprayed on, and I'm just going to probably just lightly rub just a little bit, or dab a little bit, just to kind of get everything processed. And then now I could kind of fold this and start rubbing the chip. So there wasn't really that much thermal paste on this, but use whatever corners of the paper. So it's cleaned up, and then I should add thermal paste on there first. Waited and right after, and then clean that off. So I can still spread it a little bit with the spatula, but just so that's a little bit even. And like that's my third CPU. So I could just kind of spray rubbing alcohol on this, and also want to really try to get the fan working good, looking good. There's all types of like build up from something, so there's the initial first cleanup. I got to remove some of that. So just use the piece of paper that's up there, and then now I could try to work on looking into this fan with rubber. I'm going to try to spray it one more time while letting this side kind of dry up, and wearing the gloves I could get off, or rub off any debris. So I just sprayed rubbing alcohol in there, and kind of, it's probably not going to do anything, but I don't really see the issue anymore. Basically just blew into the fans, and that might help. So most of the other like heat sinks would have the copper pipe, and things were situated with, especially with this one, I think it's a little bit knocked off. So I'm basically going to use a flashlight, and with the other hand hold the heat sink on top and slowly put it where it needs to be. I don't know about this, maybe that's supposed to be like that. I'm pretty sure not, but let's see how it goes. So luckily I'm using a flashlight and a freehand, and somehow I think it's supposed to go this way now. Yeah, okay, so after getting the right alignment, so I kept it down and tightened the screws. It was just pretty easy, just because the screws were going through enough to actually, find the hole. So, and stuff like this, when it's like that, it's like current and things, electricity, water damage, stuff like that could be happening around there. So I might have to use the sealer on the whole piece, let that dry up, and then um, so I'm gonna just, and let this dry up overnight. So I'm not gonna be able to, now I've got this kind of freed up. I could probably use another piece of paper, or, and I think I'm just going to try to coat this with clear silicone, just to try to help myself later on, and corrosion. Or alright, so I just brushed on as much as I can on this side, and then I could actually like use a hair dryer also, and then doing this side. So I'm gonna try to keep it balanced right there. Probably can redo everything, and I'll talk to you guys later. Small detailing brush right here. Really useful, I think, especially for something like this. Really small spots where I can't get to, and the lint might be hard to reach. Sorry, you can't see that. So this is the perfect tool to actually remove any excess for the rebuild and stuff. The glue a couple of these flaps just to get it really good and held down. So I was planning to use crazy glue at first, and it worked. You can see this sticking up, and so now I got it. So I'm going to just do one side at a time, and even though there's some extra stuff sticking, I'll have to figure something. Excuse me. I think this is kind of like the last piece. This stuff is crazy glued. It was actually the only way to really do this, besides maybe Velcro, something that bonds instantly. You don't want to just, have things. Crazy glue, and kind of glue this a little bit. Just depends on kind of like the casing or this might be go just up around. There's a couple of grooves. Yeah, I think it's going to kind of tape down. Yeah, definitely. And then, so I tightened back the fan, still wired or routed. And I think I'm going to have to bend these clips. There are a few, not every single one is bendable, but so I'm going to basically use some tweezers and try to bend these so that I could actually bend them like in a certain direction so that it's going to be easier to fit back, I would say. The shroud, so line up the holes better, but I think I've got 3 more, 4 more. So, but these others inside the holes, and I'm probably gonna have to work on these. So I just put one in, and prior to screwing in, and they use a pretty big Phillips. So prior to like kind of screwing in the screw, I want to make sure everything could be lined up with the shield and the board. So I use pretty much a screwdriver to line it up, I think, or use one of the other lineup. So there's 1, 2, and yeah, I could definitely like feel a little bit nervous at the very end, but just loosen up. Make sure a couple are loose so that yeah. So I'm going to use this really smaller screwdriver, I think, but it's lined up mostly, and I think I could get that. So that went in okay. It wasn't like the most easy tightened. It was really good tightening the top screws, and now I could finish. Probably use another piece of tape on this, just because it's free and clear, and it's gonna really keep things, taped. I already add one piece where it's gonna connect or touch the. But yeah, got the incense stick to wiggle around, I think. So I added some tape. Just wiggle things around just to make sure it's connecting. Stuff like that. Straighten out. Yeah, I really want to like crazy glue as much as I can, but I think just some tape. I cut off some pieces, but not too close to the wires. Left a little bit of excess. Crazy glued a piece of this corner right here, this aluminum shield and stuff, so that's kind of in there, I think. So well, it's not coming undone. Taped up some of these cables so that they don't wander off. Could actually add a piece of tape right there on this edge, or even on the ribbon too, so that things, and the same thing up here on this connector. Just don't really want too much damage if anything happens. Alright, so I found something with the speaker. The connector actually has a green clip, and then I probably just might really want to get some plastic tweezers for stuff like this. I'm not as comfortable, but I still can use metal tweezers. But so right here, this flex ribbon actually isn't coat the cable itself with just a ribbon of this tape, and just keep that, help protect this wire from any scratches and stuff. Double checking the connection.